This is the Thursday, September 9th, 7:45 a.m. meeting of the Executive Committee of the Raleigh Historic Development Commission. I believe all the members have been sent a proposed agenda for this meeting at 5:38 last night by Tanya. And it's the suggestions the staff have for the agenda for the business meeting on the 21st for us to go over. Is that a good place to start, is to go over the proposed agenda, and then what items spring from that we'll hit? Is that okay?
Yep, and then I had two discussion items at the bottom.
Gotcha.
Questions.
Well, let's rip through this real quickly. Tanya has a hard stop at 8:30, so we have a goal to try to achieve. Anyway, should I do this, Tanya, or you? All right. 1, 2, 3 topic. We just kind of talked before we started the meeting. I was talking to one person. We didn't actually have a meeting. We talked about using that opportunity as a training reminder. You know, taking the video, the email we got that reminded us that we're supposed to do training in theory as required, and using the 1, 2, 3 this time to remind everybody what the training opportunities are and what the suggested requirements are.
Great, and Aaron is going to be our presenter next time.
Okay, is that okay with everybody? I just the issue about training came up coincidentally in another aspect from another commissioner, and I thought this was a chance to hit 2 birds with 1 stone. 4 birds. Okay, so we'll do that. And rezoning cases, somebody want to speak to these briefly? Just give us any hot button issues we should know about on these 3 items.
So for the Hill Street is not, you may remember, you may not, but way back in January, they were supposed to be on the agenda, but requested to defer because they were not quite ready. They were working out some condition-related items, but they are now ready to appear on the agenda. So I don't believe that we fully discussed it in January, so it might be a slight reminder. I think you maybe saw the memo, but a few of the portions of the parcels are included in the West Raleigh National Register Historic District. It'll be a interesting conversation, I'm sure. I believe that this property came up for discussion several years ago.
Was this the issue where the neighbors were concerned about height and having them stare down from afar into their bathroom windows and stuff like that? I mean, it was a bigger building and right up against a smaller neighborhood. No, not that one.
I don't think that's this one. It has properties on Hillsborough Street, and then it wraps up a side street. And this rezoning case adds 2 more parcels, I think.
That's right.
More than were in the rezoning a few years ago.
Kind of alert us, should a bunch of people sign up to comment? Somebody kind of alert us that that's piling up so we can gauge the time it'll take to do it.
Yeah, we'll do the same thing that they have to sign up. They will have to sign up by the Friday at 3 o'clock before the meeting, and then either end of the day Friday or probably more likely on Monday, I will send you the executive committee. Although now I usually just send it to Janine and Gaston, unless y'all want 1 extra email. But it just has a list of who has signed up to speak for what case.
Okay. South Person Street, Moore Square.
This is a courtesy review at the request of the city, who is the applicant. You may have seen in the paper news about the city rezoning properties next to Moore Square for affordable housing. This is in relation to that request.
Just on the side related where the Greek Orthodox Church used to be.
So I have not yet dug into this. There are 2 possible sites that this could be it's either directly next to City Market or to the east of Moore Square, which would be the,
Oh, I thought you knew. Take a quick look. I am 99.42% certain that it's the parcel adjacent to City Market. Because that's the only one that I've talked to Ken about. And so I suspect that this is the case. In which case it bounds on two sides the Moore Square Historic District, but none of the properties are in the overlay. Well, none of the properties are in the overlay district. The two of the properties are partially in the HOD and partially not, but the rezoning case runs along the HOD boundary.
Right, just a quick random question. Is the horse barn in danger of being torn down?
No, it
Okay.
is not. It is specifically not in this rezoning, and there will be, so no.
Well, if anyone were ever interested in walking tours of downtown, where they kept the police horses or may still keep the police horses is kind of a neat sidekick on a tour.
Yeah, no, it's been vacant for several years now.
Okay, no horses in the barn. East Kavere Street, Prince Hall.
so this is primarily an FYI. There are 9 parcels in Prince Hall that the request is to rezone them to change the zoning designation, but also to remove the historic overlay district. So at this meeting, we'll just be letting you know the brief overview of the request, and also asking that you review a letter that we are going to send to the state as part of changing the boundaries of a historic overlay district. The state also has an opportunity to review and comment. So to start off the process, since the state has 30 days to comment, we're going to start by sending them the report and letter information to let them review it, but then we'll be bringing it back to you for a greater detailed review at a later date.
Okay. Well, so, I assume that.
You know, since I'm new, could you tell me why this is a historic district? I mean, I'm looking online and it says Raleigh's first African-American and mixed-use district for Prince Hall Historic District. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So why on earth would we change that? I mean, aren't we doing a whole bunch of research now on African-American history and architecture? And
We, in fact, may be opposing.
until that's concluded, why would we even consider this?
So the application is from a private property owner who owns all of the properties, and they have filed the rezoning request. And so it will go through the regular process. The decision will ultimately be made by City Council, but
Right.
As part of that review, RHDC, you will make an analysis and a recommendation on whether or not, you think City Council should grant, approve the request or not. We will provide we will provide some background in the second phase on, on the history of the district and how it was designated. There have already been 2 parcels removed from the district since initial designation. It will be in staff's memo, draft memo to you. We're assuming that you're going to recommend not removing it.
Okay, well, with all due respect, since I joined this group when we were just doing the Josephus Daniels house, and when I raised the issue, which I wasn't as aware of at that point, and it kind of got approved anyway, and we got into all that crazy back and forth around why we did it and all that stuff. I'm a little bit more gun shy as I, listen to things that are proposed. And this one, I mean, right up front, I just Googled it, like an idiot, because what you're telling me doesn't help me understand what's going on. So the first thing it says is Raleigh's first African-American and mixed-use district. And I know we just got a grant from the state authorizing us to look into a specific neighborhood, but in doing so, potentially open the door to the African-American history in our city. Why wouldn't we just strongly recommend this? Just wait until we at least get some initial feedback and potentially do a little more due diligence on giving. I mean, the fact that they've already approved to release stuff. I just read this huge scathing piece from someone who's connected to the city and is kind of opposed to what's going on right now, saying that we're just undermining African-American history left and right in our city. So I just want to be, this committee especially, since I feel like we're the first stop, and yes, we have no authority, and yes, we can't do anything, and I've heard all those things. But holy cow, didn't we go on record saying, hey guys,
Well, I think
let's think about this before we jump in?
I think this is a two-step process. I think that we can oppose at both steps. We can make a negative recommendation here, and if it comes back to us, we can make a second negative recommendation. And
Well, so the first, so yes, strongly oppose it if that is what the commission, wants to do. I think this is the time to do it. The very first step that we're doing has to happen legally. And we will send it from staff if RHDC doesn't want to sign off on it, but it will simply be a memo that says the boundaries of the historic overlay district are this. These properties are contributing. Here are current photos. Here you go, state. What is your, what do you think? And what I anticipate happening, or at least what happened the last time when this happened, is the letter from the state said these properties still contribute to the historic district. We see no reason for the boundaries to be changed. There was a huge discussion at Planning Commission. That will happen again, I am certain. And then it will go to City Council and they will make the recommendation. But you have the opportunity at Planning Commission. Well, first of all, when the applicants come to you, because they will not be at this first meeting. But when the applicants come to you, you'll have the opportunity to voice your, your thoughts and recommendations and opinions. You'll have a letter then that goes to Planning Commission, and then, an opportunity again at, when it gets to City Council. When it
So
gets to City Council.
the bottom line is we'll have a chance to have a robust opposition if we choose to.
Absolutely.
Effective or not
I would
is a whole
suggest
other issue.
everybody on the executive committee just Google it, and it's actually in the Raleigh Historic District Commission page. It's a
Yep.
really interesting piece, and it suggests to me that we need to think long and hard before we pull any historic designation from this area or recommend it. And the state should too, and the state will, I'm sure, I hope.
Okay, so we'll have the staff will prepare something for us to digest, and we'll have a second time to look at that later, even add more spice to the recommendation. Action item on the website. Heather will be prepared to.
One thing, Susan, could you share that article that you were
Could you
referencing?
put it in chat, maybe to us or
Thank
someone?
you. I'd like to read it. Sorry,
Yeah,
Dustin.
No, the direct link. Thank you, Versace. The direct link would be
I'm
great.
trying to send it to you right now.
What's going on here? Heather met with is the chair of the Community Awareness Committee, and they had a long discussion the other day about the website. She can give us a very short version of what her recommendation is going to be to the full commission next week. It's a motion coming from a committee, so it doesn't require a second, I don't think, but anyway.
Yeah, so briefly, it's, as a group, we decided we had to choose between revamping. So we currently have two web presences, right? We have rhdc.org, which is our website. And then we also have our page on the City of Raleigh website. And ultimately, the one we have on .org is extremely outdated. It has a lot of security risks, and it needs to be updated if we are going to keep it. It also needs to be updated to something that we can actually put our hands into and do things with. Right now, it's not we don't really use it for much. I mean, it stores our information, but that's about it. So that's been the decision on our plate for, I mean, as long as I've been here, we've been trying to figure out what to do with that. Unfortunately, in order to update it, I mean, we're looking at probably around $20,000 in order to update / maintain for the next good chunk of time. I'm sure many of you are familiar with how expensive a website can be. Currently in our budget, if I remember correctly, we had a little less than $7,000 total. So in order to update the website, we'd have to completely use our entire budget just for that. Unfortunately. Now, we did talk about what kind of power and authority we would have on the City of Raleigh website for our page, and they did assure us that we actually could we could make updates. We could even have like a blog. They wouldn't call it a blog, but like a news section, which would function the same. The ability to create content on a regular basis that will help us with our findability on Google. And give us content that we can share on our social media and bring traffic to our website, educate people on local history, things like that, and including updating things like events that we have upcoming, or even put information, like we have now. If we wanted to talk about, like before, the Josephus Daniels house and have a statement on that, we could have that up there, things like that. So it does have some downsides. We can't just go in ourselves and make updates, so it will never really be fully ours. Also, our branding, like our logo and such, cannot be at the top, was my understanding, because it needs to be still the kind of the city website. But it will still have all the information it has today, and we can migrate over the information from our old site. So ultimately, we are going to bring to the commission that we would like to go ahead and do away with the rhdc.org, which is currently our individual website that we have off of the City of Raleigh website, and ultimately have that migrate over to the City of Raleigh's webpage for us. That's sort of what we're going to bring.
Yeah, quick correction. rhdc.org will not go away. It will simply become a redirect to the page you want on the city site. So that's not going to go away. Would you like for staff to pull together a sort of like a bullet list memo of the differences between the two to have in the agenda that they can look at ahead of time, and then you can do
that would help. Heather's, we kind of pre-digested the issue as an assistant and decision making, because we thought best to say, here's the positives and the negatives, and that kind of list would be helpful. Susan? You're muted.
No, I don't think I am. Can you hear me?
No,
I
Susan
am.
is.
How does this relate to the Arches presentation you gave us, Tanya? I mean, if you're going to be posting all this information, is that going to link to this website? How do we make those things?
It is at the moment completely separate. It will.
Well, where would it live?
It will be hosted. I don't know yet. That is part of what we will figure out. It will ultimately be hosted on somewhere on the city's site, and probably what we will have is like one of the city pages will be a learn about the historic resources in Raleigh, and then you click that search here or learn here, and it takes you to the application. The map application.
I've done many websites. I've constructed them, I built them, I've planogrammed them, I've several. And I know they're very complicated. And I know the city one is extraordinarily complicated because I have to use it as a city resident, and it's not easy to use. But I'm really interested in how we're going to spend all this time and energy doing arches, which I thought was brilliant. A way to link and connect historic properties and build awareness for them. And we talked about that wonderful fencing that gentleman found and all the work he did. And all of that winds up on arches. And how is that then going to be, if we have a city page that does history, how are we going to ensure that that effort is going to be connected? Because otherwise we're really separating, you know, together you're having greater value than individual aspects. And I'm gonna push as hard as I know how to consistently help communication have one voice, because without that, you inherently limit the power of the voice. Everything we do will be diffused because of it. So how I would suggest, and Heather, you know, I know you're leading the committee, maybe you want to work with Tanya to come back with a solution on how do we figure out a way to potentially integrate it.
I can't hear what you're saying. Arches?
Yeah,
I
it's
have-
art. You should find out about it. It's really cool. And Tanya presented it to the research committee because it really identifies, it's a new technology that she's been working in that will help identify historic properties throughout our city. So
We'll Yeah, we will present it at the October community awareness meeting. The agenda was already too full for this week's meeting. So that is our intent, it's on the agenda. And this is a multi-departmental city initiative. If you wanted to Google it, it's called archesproject.org, but it will, it is a collaboration between, you know, planning and development in our historic preservation unit and the cultural resources, historic resources. Oh my gosh, I forgot their name. The historic resources museums program of the city and all other things. It'll be buildings, and where it will eventually have some links to the artifacts, you know, information on artifacts as well. So this is intended to be a citywide application, but we'll present on it in October.
Susan, I don't.
Heather,
think
imagine
we'll
how
lose-
cool a scavenger hunt that utilizes arches.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, go on arches. We could promote the use of arches. I'm not saying you'd use it for the scavenger hunt, but your scavenger hunt could promote arches. We could get more people aware of it, integrated in it. I mean, these are such important overlaps in communication. So it'll be
Yes,
well worth your time.
So we haven't had the opportunity to learn about arches yet. That's why I was confused. I was like, what is this arches thing? So I don't have an answer for that because I haven't even learned about arches yet. I guess we didn't get a chance to go over it at our meeting because our meeting, we were talking to a representative from the city and dealing with learning about kind of how the website would be integrated. I will say from the beginning, I have been on the side of having our own website that we could fully control and put content on and utilize as we see fit. And I still believe that would be the ideal. Of course, that's always the ideal. However, unfortunately, the budget is just not there for a website. And we'll have a list of the pros and cons, but the issue would be with our current budget. I'm concerned that we could not create a quality website, nor could we maintain it or afford the updates. And another thing that was brought forward was right now we do have a pretty technical team on community awareness. People, I mean, you know, I worked for a web design company for years. So I know exactly what goes into it and exactly what it takes. And even between Travis and I think we could probably build a website, but the question would be, once we are gone, the team after us would also have to be able to maintain it and upgrade it. And there's so much that goes into that, that we're just concerned that we don't have the budget for it. I think it would be ideal for us to have our own website, but
I'm talking about having our own website. I'm talking about finding a way to link to arches because it will do a lot of.
oh, okay. If it's just that, then I'm sure we can.
Let me fold Susan's concern into a place to put it and make sure we get it discussed. When we talk to KDD, what her name, KDD?
KDD.
We were supposed to go back to her and get some additional cleanup information. Can we make sure that Susan's concerns are folded into the discussion and recommendation section for the meeting next time, so that we're aware? I assume that the capacity will be to fully integrate the arches in anything we do, even if it's on the city site. It's got to be there by linkage or some other method, just to make sure that we highlight and save a spot for the development of our connection to arches in the future as we
Yeah,
go
and
forward.
I think on community awareness too, a maybe a project going forward that we need to look at tackling from several different angles is how we want to leverage arches and how we want to promote it. Even if we don't have our own separate site to link through it to, but you know, since we have a really good social media presence right now, and we've been building that up, I think that we have lots of different ways that we could promote that and lots of different programming that we could do using
Susan,
arches.
that will address your concerns if we make sure we specifically discuss how it links into this new proposal.
Thank you. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
I don't need a new website. I just want
Verche,
to.
I'll shift to Verche and also ask Verche to double her comments into her report from COA meeting. Most recent.
Before you jump into COA, Verche, if you wouldn't mind kicking it back to me after your first comment.
Sure, no problem. I think I can handle all that. I just wanted to say, just echo that, seeing the kind of list of, I guess, pros and cons and decisions that are made about shifting to the city website would be helpful. I think just from like a COA perspective, I'd be interested to see, you know, that's our primary resource for our applicants, I guess, to find like the design guidelines and even making those more easily searchable for them and things like that. I think it's kind of intuitive that they might start at the City of Raleigh website to find that information. Sorry. So from that perspective, I could see that potentially being positive for what the work that we do on the COA committee. Okay, that was my only comment about the website. So I'll kick it to Erin.
I was just going to confirm and reiterate that I will take care of that pros and cons list, or, you know, features of core, features of rhtc.org for the business meeting. And, you know, we currently with our rhtc.org, we've got tons of information over there, but we've also got Raleigh Historic, our mobile app, developed that features a lot of information about individual historic sites that we link to there. So just to reiterate your concerns, Susan and Heather, your feelings, I feel fairly confident that we could be linking out to arches in a similar way once we develop, how we want to use it and leverage it, as Katie said. So
kind of pin down KDD and be very specific. This is going to
yes,
work, right?
I will follow up with her to see if we can get some answers to those follow-up questions before the meeting.
Hey, great. Verche, do you have anything else to report on the COA last wonderfully, what was it, half-hour meeting this time?
Not quite. I think we were done by about 8:15. But we did have the meeting in person. It was our second in-person meeting. I think you all may know we are shifting back to virtual now, which I personally think is a little unfortunate. It's a lot easier to kind of conduct those types of meetings in person, but we'll get it done. All in all, though, I think things went pretty well at that meeting, and we'll get geared up for September's.
Susan, on the research committee?
Well, the research committee, you know, I'm trying to figure out what we do. So I can just share that with the rest of the executive committee. I've had several conversations about it, and that's how Arches came into a presentation to us, because, you know, I want to be able to deliver information that helps us as the RHDC make better decisions. Okay. And part of it is, how do we get property? I mean, right now there's supposed to be a survey, which hasn't gone out for at least 4 or 5 years. And there's just a whole kind of process that isn't yet in my brain in a way that I can tell you that we'll be successful. So I'll keep working on it until I have that, and then I'll talk to the executive committee about it. All right. And any questions?
Oh, no questions, but I just realized I forgot really one important thing that is on my paper list, but I didn't manage to type it into the email, is that the Tonson, Jones, Anderson, Allen house will be on the agenda, because it was reported out from the joint public hearing that was held on Tuesday evening. Ann Robertson missed the deadline to sign up to speak, but she wrote a very nice letter that got forwarded to the city councilors. I will be including it on the agenda so that you can see it for the next meeting, but there will be a draft ordinance. So you'll make your final vote on whether, on recommending it to be a Raleigh Historic Landmark. And then it will, excuse me, end up on the not August, I'm going backwards, the October 5th consent agenda for the city. So that will be a very brief item.
In regards to Susan's request for more guidance and structure to the purpose of the research committee and what it's supposed to be doing, I co-opted. I got from Tanya a work program plan that was submitted, but I'm modifying that to be more user-friendly to those of us who are actually on these groups. And I'll send you the draft when I get done here. It's a 2-page at the moment, but you can just see where I'm going. Just some internal guidance to give us more detail about what each committee does and is doing. But it's now, we now need you guys to help fill it out more robustly. I just put some rough structure in here from something Tanya gave me earlier. So I'll send it to you right after this meeting. It'll address in part Susan's concern that she be aware of what we're doing and supposed to be doing.
I have a quick added comment on this. It's something that's been kind of coming up a little bit in our COA hearings is that we have properties that might be demolished that we want to be fully documented for record. And we're making that recommendation to our applicants. And I know that we're saying go to staff and they'll help you figure out how to make that happen. I just wanted to make sure that that loop was closed. And then is there any kind of process within that the research committee is kind of made aware of some of these properties as far as how we handle them?
That would be great. I was not aware of any of those properties. So that's a great connection that we should probably make. Does staff make that, or do we rely on the COA, or how do we get?
I'm not sure I'm understanding what you're asking
So
or suggesting.
So I guess, for example, and I think I can say a little bit about this, but there was a case that we had this past month where there was a home. It basically kind of was left and it's going to be demolished essentially. But it's a historic house. It's got a great history and it's not completely documented or fully documented at this point. So we recommended to the applicant that they go through whatever process of doing the plan making, photographing, and those type of things. They're not really knowledgeable in that and they didn't know what that meant necessarily. So the suggestion was that they work with staff and they could direct them to the resources. So I wanted to just make sure that that kind of information gathering loop was closed, because I also think that's an opportunity to kind of just continue to collect more information about the built environment, the historic built environment in our area. Does that make sense?
Tanya, you're muted.
Sorry, we can report out. I mean, it's a condition. It's not a recommendation of the COA. So when properties are demolished, the COA committee does not have the authority to deny demolition. So when demolition is approved, either with or without a 365-day delay to come up with other alternatives, one of the requirements, one of the conditions of approval is that it be photographed and documented with measured drawings, accurate dimension drawings. At the moment, there is not a condition that there be any sort of history done on the property. It is simply the physical documentation. And we can certainly share that with the research committee. Or if or if you wanted to, I'm not sure. We'd have to talk with Raz to see the legality of adding on doing any historic research on it. I'm not sure if that would be stepping beyond your authority or not. But we can certainly share that so that the research committee knows what will be, coming down.
Okay, let's move. Can we move? Anybody else want closing quickly? Not the whole meeting, but just this portion. The discussion now items would like. Yes, Susan.
I just have a really quick comment. I would, Vershay, if you have a chance, could we talk offline? I want to be sure I understand what you'd like us to do. and kind of put that into the hopper of how we proceed. So, but we don't need to take this meeting to do that. But for Shay, can we catch up later?
She says yes.
Okay, thank you.
I don't see her, but I'm sure she says yes. I'm sure she's listening. Hey, real quick, the list, the little work plan I talked about, I was trying to modify to suit my needs and whatever else to kind of get it. I'll send it to Tanya, but I'll send it to all of you too, and ask Tanya, the staff, the rest of the staff, figure out a way that we can share this so people can contribute to the document. Where are we? Discussion items. Al Brandenburg, addresses of city-owned properties. What do you want to do with them? I think we just kind of wanted to know, this came up in the context of something else. We just want to know how many city properties and who owns, who controls them. I think it was just an informational issue.
Okay, so yeah, so after his presentation on the report of the earthworks around the city, you asked Gaston for him to let you know which properties are owned by the city, and he prepared a little document with that in there. And I wasn't sure.
I remember what the issue was. My interest was, does the city own historically significant places, whether they're houses or land or dirt or berm works or whatever else that we need to be aware of that might have a historical significance that otherwise would be bulldozed away and put up a parking lot or something. You know, the stuff that slides through the cracks, like the breastworks and some other things, it might be that's what we were concerned about. We may have more historic sites and artifacts than we realize.
Do you want me to start by sending it to the research committee then?
Well, I think that would be logical.
Okay.
And yeah. The point being, we were saying, do we lose opportunities because we just don't know the city already owns something? Does that make any sense? I mean, not necessarily the way I'm saying it, but maybe it doesn't make any sense. How about go to training requirements?
Well, Curtis
Yes.
emailed after I sent out that email with the various opportunities for training. And I realized I said to you, Gaston, that I would have the requirements, and I didn't go double check, but we'll have the 1, 2, 3 next week, which will be or on the 21st, which will be completely accurate. But yes, yeah, so part of the 1, 2, 3 will be the fact that this commission, well, the city is what's called a certified local government. It is certified by the National Park Service via the State Historic Preservation Office, and it comes with it some benefits. A primary one being the opportunity to apply for Historic Preservation Fund grants. And in order to maintain CLG status, there are a number of things. Have to have qualified or either professionals or folks with demonstrated interest in historic preservation, archaeology, history, and the like. And there are also, training requirements over, every their fiscal year, which runs like October 1 to September 30th. And that can be any number of things. It can be trainings put on by staff. It can be attending the state Preservation North Carolina's annual conference. And since there are more and more of these wonderful webinars, which are easy to access on our own time, it can be watching these webinars and learning about certain activities. And so I just report out. There's not a requirement that every single person get trained. It is extremely encouraged, because the more knowledgeable the commission is as a whole, the better you can function and serve your mission. But it's some majority. And
we interface with experts, either paid or unpaid, who may have more knowledge. It always helps us to know things. real quick in a wrap, before Tanya has to jump off in 2 minutes, 3 minutes. So today we talked about setting the 1, 2, 3 topic for training. The staff is going to work up, one topic, 2 minutes, 3 slides. Rezoning cases, the one that might be the hot button is going to be the East Cabarrus Street Prince Hall District, where they want to remove properties from the HOD. We're going to take a first run at that and make a recommendation. That the action items that we're going to receive a report on the website, probably indicating that they're recommending, the committee's going to recommend that we fold our web materials into the city site for various reasons, even if that's not our perfect solution. We'll have the committee reports, and we'll have some information from the website people, whether the Arches project will be totally compatible and integrated into any of this. Looking forward to that. And some other issues. I want to do what's called the ADD wraparound. I'll start with Tanya real quick. In a single breath, what's on your mind? Anything you want to share that we haven't, that I cut you off on, or you didn't have a chance to speak of?
There's a lot going on.
Heather?
I'm sorry.
Just do a wrap. Anything on your mind? Anything you want to share? Just miscellaneous bits of information?
No, nothing going on here.
All right. Share the seaboard pictures someday. Aaron?
I did. Oh, I'll send them to the group. Yes, I put them on social media, or some of them already, but I'll share to the group.
Aaron?
It's coming up pretty soon now, so I'll go ahead and let y'all know I'll be on vacation at the end of the month through the beginning of October. I am sticking around for the business meeting and the COA meeting, and then I'm running away. So
For 2 whole weeks.
Oh, that's so sad.
It's going to be a nightmare.
Yeah, actually, I am so excited that you are taking this time. You deserve it.
You all do.
Looking forward to
Berchet?
Sorry, I had to step away. I had an angry toddler trying to get him out for daycare.
That's a good preparation and training for COA meetings.
But I think the only other thing is Janine will be chairing this month in my absence. I am running away to celebrate my wedding anniversary this month. So that's all.
I forgot. Congratulations.
Susan, I know you have concerns. I hope we've addressed them, and we'll make sure we use your wisdom and your concerns about the Arches project.
Well, since I know now Berchet stepped away, I tried to, while you were gone, I said, I hope that we can connect outside of this meeting to talk about what the research committee could do to potentially support what you're trying to create with the COA and the understanding of the documentation of the history of the properties that are being demolished. So if we can do that outside of this meeting, that would be great.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Thanks.
Colette? Anything? Nothing. Are you passing? All right. Katie P.
One thing, Tanya, tomorrow, are you able to meet with me and John Henshaw or staff joining for that, or is it just
Oh,
going to be?
I thought it was Friday, and
Tomorrow is Friday, right?
It is Friday.
Today. Oh my goodness.
You thought it was
Then that would be yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's on my calendar. We need to tell them where we're meeting though, because the location is TBD.
Okay.
So my intent was to email, but clearly I don't even have the days of the week right. So maybe you could send an email to the 3 of us, and y'all just decide where we're meeting.
Okay. We want to do in person? Is that?
Or if you want to do it remote, that works for me.
Okay. Remote's more accessible for me tomorrow.
Okay. All right.
Sure.
Well, I'll set up a meeting time and let John know.
Okay. Thank you very
I
much.
mean, set up a remote event.
Got it. Thank you.
All right, Tanya, just a quick reminder, I'm going to send this work plan thing. Should I send it to you or the rest of the staff? And y'all tell me how best to share it and get some more bullet points in it.
Yeah, send it to us first, and we can then we will send it out to the whole commission when we send out the agenda for this meeting, and that will hopefully consolidate and reduce the number of emails y'all are getting.
Yeah, and this is the
Sit all
one
in
thing
one.
that doesn't do well with virtual, but we'll make a stab at it, getting everybody's input, and we'll loop around. Anybody have anything else? We're at the 8:30 mark. A couple of you have hard stops. Anything else we need to cover that this time? I see heads shaking no. Toddler's quiet at the moment. Let's see, Tanya's still at the beach, and Heather is getting ready to start a busy day. And Erin is getting ready to plan her vacation. All right. Thank you all for all your hard work, your expertise, your knowledge, your time.
Thanks, Gaston.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye, guys.